Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. We are excited that you are staying tuned in and still here with us. We are excited for our next guest who has been on the show before, but he has got something specific that he wants to talk about today. And I am excited to have him back on the show because it's a topic that does not get talked about a lot. And so necessary that we talk or touch this subject. And so I want to bring back Mr. Mark Lamplugh back to the show. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. It's always great to have you, great conversations. And I know that there's a topic that, like I said, it's not talked about a lot, but we do definitely want to give a shout out and our thanks to all of our first responders that are out there taking care of people 24/7. And so we're happy that we have such people that are dedicated to helping others at all times. So the topic for today, Mark, it has to do with enhancing mental health and support for first responders, which I think, as I mentioned, it's a topic that it's not talked about a lot, but I think it's important that we have this segment, and you are an expert in this field. And so let's talk a little bit about, the unique, or let's go this way. Let me ask you this. What are the unique mental health challenges that first responders face, and how does that, affect, how they go about their everyday to day process?
Sure. Yeah. So, first responder mental health is, where I kind of got my start with marketing. I was very involved with helping programs and nonprofits that specifically treated or helped first responders struggling with mental health issues, suicide, PTSD, and things like that. I come from a line of firefighters and police officers. I'm a fourth generation firefighter. My grandfather was a fire chief. My dad is the president of the fire department now. I was a captain. My great grandfather, they name an award after him and give it every year to the top firefighter for the year. It's called the JTL Award. I kind of grew up around the fire service, so to speak.
Right.
So when I started doing marketing, I started helping these programs, and many people don't realize, and some do, some of the struggles that first responders have, because of all the trauma they see and all the death and car accidents and overdoses and murder and all those things take a toll on an individual's psyche. Even first responders who are trained to handle those situations, it still becomes a little more than some can handle, and they need to reach out for help. But many do not because of the stigma attached to mental health and PTSD, and the suicide rates for police officers and firefighters are much more prevalent and frequent than it is in the general population. There's many programs out there that are helping now first responders who have those issues.
Yeah, it's incredible that there are so many things that happen in a first responder's life, especially while they are on duty. They could potentially not see anything from a flip of a switch. They can potentially see some of the most horrific things, and those are things that they have to try to work with and try to work around and process and all of those great things. So we never think about these things, but it could potentially affect. It affects people in different ways, right? And some get used to it, some never don't, and some need some assistance in processing that. So we appreciate you having that knowledge, and thank you for your service while you were a firefighter, and your families as well. So have you seen, or how has the perception of mental health care for first responders evolved in the recent years? Have you seen something happening to where it's a little bit more in everyone's eyes nowadays?
Yeah, so I would say it's definitely being handled on a department level much more than it was, say, 20 years ago. I would say the start of it kind of really happened around Oklahoma City, um, and then 9/11. After those kind of tragedies, they started seeing lots of suicides and PTSD and started kind of saying, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right here. Um, and now there's lots of programs and resources that departments provide peer support, There's foundations they can go to. There's programs. To give you an example, when I was creating the first responder program in Florida back in 2010, there might have been two or three programs in the whole United States that specifically dealt with first responders. Now there's probably three or 400. They're just starting to come up. Private treatment centers are starting to carve out like um, niches and little tracks for first responders because, they have a lot different issues than the standard population would have in these type of facilities. So for them to feel comfortable talking about some of the things that they've seen or done, it helps for them to be around peers that have also been experiencing those same things. So there's a big change. I think it's being a lot more accepted, but I think there's still ways to go.
Yeah, there's always improvements, right, and some innovations that could potentially happen. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you touched on this because that leads me to my next question that I have for you. What innovative therapies or programs have you implemented or that you have seen that have improved the outcomes for first responders?
So a lot of what they're doing with PTSD is a therapy called EMDR. That's kind of one of the newer modalities that they're using to treat this. Uh, the peer support systems that they're starting at different agencies. There's some nonprofits out there like Blue Help or First Help, which is for suicide and first responders. It's a nonprofit based out in the Northeast. The National Fallen Firefighters has programs, the Life Safety Initiatives. The National Volunteer Fire Council has a program called Share the Load. That is a free service for firefighters and their families that they can call. Um, there's a outfit out in Colorado called First Responder Trauma Counselors. They have dozens of programs available that help treat first responders with suicide, PTSD, other mental health issues. So there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I imagine that there's many different programs that are available, but there's got to be a way for these folks that don't know for them to be able to get access to them. Is there a way or a local resource where most folks can either make a phone call and or get the assistance that they need?
Yeah, I would say if you just go to Google and look up first responder or firefighter shared a load program, all the information for that will come up. Bluefirsthealth.org is a website you can go to. If you search first responder trauma counselors, you'll find their information. The National Fallen Firefighter Foundation, which I think is NFFF.org, they have a bunch of programs there that you can find and search and then obviously the suicide helpline if you can't find anything there. But like I said, you can do a little simple search now on Google for what you're looking for, and a lot of those resources that come up are very good.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Now, one of my last question for you, Mark, before we run out of time, how do you collaborate with local organizations and or agencies in your area to extend the support for first responders?
So we would go into departments, and I had done this personally myself, is offer like a stress support training for first responders. It usually lasts like an hour or two, and then after the training's over, you leave your information. That way, there if somebody needs help, they can reach out and call. Some states have the peer support networks. California has a really established peer support foundation with every department having members involved. They get reoccurring training every year. And then there's trainings at a lot of the conferences like FDIC, which is in Indianapolis every year. And
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I want to thank you for sharing that knowledge. I know that that's your background and that is what you've been in the space you've been in for quite some time. But I also do want to congratulate you because I understand that you are moving out west and you are starting a new venture with Tim
yep.
Moran Automotive Group. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I was a firefighter back in the 2000s, I actually used to sell cars because I had a lot of time off. in
Nice.
between. So I do have experience in the automotive industry. So I seen a post that they were looking for a new CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and I applied, I interviewed, and they accepted me. So I'm going to go out, help them grow their sales out in the Southern California market. They have 3 dealerships now, and they're looking to expand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with your background in being able to determine, human behavior and your background in other knowledges, is you're going to be successful in your new venture. So congratulations on that, and we're happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for being on the show once again, showcasing your expertise. And I know a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners are going to want to maybe have an additional conversation with you. How would they be able to get in touch with you?
Go to my website, marklamplu.com.
Fantastic. And they've got all the information there. They can just submit a form and be able to get in touch with you. So thanks again, Mark. We appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. And we look forward to additional conversations and additional shows.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate you. All right, folks, we have come to the end of this particular show. We appreciate you sticking with us and tuning in and learning all about business. So we look forward to seeing you and tuning in again on the next shows. Until next time, take care of each other.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.